Actually, I've told my wife's mother that both my parents died of illness.
The son I raised alone said this to me with a smirk. I was stunned, unable to comprehend what he was saying. Today was his wedding day, and I was just about to go and greet his fiancée's parents before the ceremony started. Since there had been no meeting between the two families, I hadn't had the chance to greet them until today. As I was caught off guard by what my son said, I couldn't grasp the situation and felt bewildered. "What are you talking about? I'm supposed to be dead." When I asked him, he answered triumphantly,
"Yes, my wife's family is wealthy, and they're not the kind of people someone cool like you should meet. I hated the idea of them having to deal with you, so I buried your existence, you know."
"Then why did you invite me to the wedding? If you wanted me to be considered dead, my being here would be inconvenient for him." Then my son burst out laughing.
"Maybe to torment you. I wanted to make you suffer. Of course, you're not allowed to attend the ceremony." "Oh, this is so funny."
His mocking laughter reminded me so much of my ex-husband. Feeling a chill throughout my body, I suddenly became calm and looked at my son with cold eyes. He continued to laugh, oblivious to my reaction, and blurted out,
"Now I can finally cut ties with a grandma I hate. Just disappear."
At my son's declaration of disownment, a smile inadvertently escaped me. I'd been waiting for those words.
"Huh?"
My son looked puzzled. I firmly told him, "As you wish, let's sever our ties. I'm leaving now. My name is Tiffany. I'm 52 years old. I have a husband whom I married after an office romance. His name is David. We worked in different departments, but David was a celebrity in the office, so I had known about him since I first joined the company. This was because David had a handsome face and a friendly demeanor, which made him very popular among women. I had been quietly attracted to David from the beginning. One day, there was a joint drinking party with David's department, and that's where we quickly hit it off. David and I happened to be from the same hometown, so the conversation flowed easily, and we really clicked. Soon after, David confessed his feelings to me, and I vividly remember feeling over the moon with this unexpected turn of events. Of course, I accepted, and that's how we started dating. My relationship with David was going perfectly. He was always calm, and we got along so well that we never even had a single argument. Then, exactly 1 year from when we started dating on day, David took me to a well-known restaurant with a beautiful night view. As we were nearing the end of our meal, David, looking nervous, began to speak.
"Tiffany, I'm truly happy that I met you. If you're willing, would you marry me? I think we could make a great couple,"
he said as he opened a box with a ring in it, creating a scene straight out of a drama. With tears of joy, I accepted, and he placed the engagement ring on my left ring finger. Soon after, we registered our marriage, had a grand wedding ceremony, and received blessings from many people. At that moment, I felt like I was the happiest person in the world. I had no doubt that David and I would live a happy life together. However, my hopes were quickly shattered. Right after we got married, David began staying away from home, claiming he had overtime work or business dinners. Moreover, the once kind David suddenly became distant and indifferent towards me.
"Hey, David, can you come home early today? Let's have dinner together. I'm thinking of making your favorite beef stew."
"Shut up. Just eat by yourself. I think I'll be late again tonight. All right, I'm off to work."
He slammed the door as I stood alone in the entryway. Confused by David's sudden change, I couldn't comprehend what was happening. Since David wanted me to, I had quit my job to become a full-time homemaker, and I spent my days alone at home, tirelessly doing housework. During these lonely days, I was thrilled to discover I was pregnant. I hoped that maybe David would come home earlier once our child was born. Time passed, and 3 days after the expected due date, I gave birth to a healthy boy. We named him Eugene, and David, holding our newborn Eugene like a treasure, was moved to tears. Seeing him like this, I thought we could live happily as a family of 3. However, he soon started staying away from home again and stopped contributing much money to the household. Suspicious of David's actions, I decided to take a drastic step and follow him. After leaving Eugene with my parents, I followed David after he left work and saw him stop in front of an apartment. When he rang the bell, a beautiful woman came out from inside. David and the woman smiled at each other and went inside together. He was having an affair. As I reeled from the reality before my eyes, something inside me snapped. After that, I acted quickly. I used my savings from before I was married to hire a private investigator to look into David's activities. Soon, they gathered evidence that David was having an affair with that woman. Apparently, the woman's name was Jessica, and she seemed to be his classmate from college. I confronted David immediately to demand an explanation, but he was defiant.
Yay, that's right. I've been with Jessica for years, long before I married you. But you know, Jessica is high maintenance and hopeless at household chores. So she's not really suitable as a marriage partner. In contrast, you're plain and domestic, which made you perfect as a wife in the sense of a housekeeper. That's why I married you. Plus, my parents were nagging me to get married.
David never loved me from the beginning. I was merely chosen because I wouldn't cost much and was suitable as a housekeeper. His appalling words left me feeling devastated.
Who else would marry someone ugly like you? Have you ever looked in the mirror? Someone at your level getting married to me? There had to be a catch, right?
With that, David burst into laughter. Was he always this hideously joyful?
Is Jessica the reason you stopped bringing money home?
Somehow managing to muster my voice, I asked.
Exactly. Jessica's into the latest trends and loves fashion, so she's always asking me for bags, cosmetics, and stuff. Honestly, her looks and body are top-notch, but it costs a fortune, LOL. But I end up buying them for her anyway.
David's face as he said this was smug and vulgar.
Please, let's get a divorce.
When I finally said it, David snorted in disdain.
Yay, whatever. I never loved you or anything. Oh, what a mistake marrying you was. It was all meaningless, just a waste of time.
David never apologized. Instead, he continued to hurl abuse at me until the end. After that, I demanded alimony and child support from David and divorced him. However, David, who always disliked saving money, soon fell behind on payments. He seemed to have quit his job and disappeared, so I couldn't bring a lawsuit against him. All I could do was pull myself together and focus on raising Eugene well, trying to forget about David. When Eugene turned 1, I placed him in daycare and managed to find a job and started working again. From then on, I raised Eugene on my own. It was tough managing work, household chores, and childcare all by myself, but I did my best not to let Eugene feel the strain of being raised by a single parent. Until he finished elementary school, Eugene was a well-behaved, mother-loving child. Though he was a bit mischievous, he had almost no troubles with friends, and we managed to live quietly and peacefully together. However, when he started middle school, Eugene began to verbally abuse me.
Useless old hag. It's your fault I have to live in poverty. My life is a mess because of you, damn old hag.
As he ransacked the room, Eugene screamed these things unilaterally at me. Come on, Eugene, calm down. Let's talk this through. Even as I tried to soothe him, he wouldn't listen, and instead yelled, "Shut up," and struck me. Though still a middle schooler, Eugene was almost as big as an adult man, and his punch knocked me to the ground, groaning. Looking down at me, Eugene muttered with utter disgust,
"You make me sick, old lady."
Then, he retreated to his room. This happened repeatedly. Despite my attempts to reach out, Eugene firmly kept his heart closed off to me. Verbal abuse and violence were the norm, and Eugene often deliberately threw all the food I cooked right into the trash in front of me. Seeing my shocked expression, Eugene laughed maniacally, his face resembling his father's when confronted about his affair. Tired of Eugene's behavior, living with him became increasingly painful for me, and gradually, my affection for Eugene faded away. Still, I felt a responsibility to take care of him until he was an adult, so I scrimped and saved desperately to gather funds for his college expenses. Eugene got into his college of choice and began living on his own as soon as he started university.
Hag, you're going to miss me leaving, ho? You're going to live a lonely life from now on. Oh, and don't you dare forget to send me money every month. If you're even a day late, I won't let it slide.
Eugene seemed to think I would be lonely without him, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I was genuinely relieved that Eugene was moving out. After all his verbal and physical abuse, I was honestly surprised he still thought I loved him. It seemed he truly believed parental love was unconditional. But that's not always the case. Even parents are human and have hearts. Continuous terrible treatment from a son can extinguish any feelings of love. Since Eugene left home during the spring break before starting university, I have been living peaceful days. I never missed a month of sending money, but Eugene never bothered to thank me with even a phone call. However, that was fine by me. I didn't want anything more to do with Eugene. Years passed, and Eugene graduated from university and got a job at a certain company. One day, 3 years after starting his job, Eugene came home for the first time in a long while.
Hi, Mom. Long time no see. How have you been?
Eugene, whom I hadn't seen for years, had a gentle smile. Yes, I've been fine. And you, Eugene, have you been doing well? I asked, somewhat bewildered. It had been a very long time since he had called me Mom instead of hurling insults.
Yo, I'm working hard. I'm in sales, so it's tough, but I'm hanging in there. Man, I never thought working would be this hard,
he said with a laugh, almost as if he had returned to the kind son he used to be. After catching up a bit, Eugene started, "So,
Mom, I want to apologize. I was really harsh to you during my student years, wasn't I? But, you know, it was my adolescence. I was going through my rebellious phase, so it couldn't be helped."
His words, excusing the verbal abuse and violence as mere teenage rebellion, were hard to accept. However, I chose to remain silent and just listen to what he had to say.
I really am sorry now, Mom. I'm sorry. Truly sorry. No matter how many times I apologize, it won't be enough. But I'm really sorry,
he said, bowing his head. Are you really sorry? It was the first time I had ever heard an apology from Eugene's lips, so I was taken aback.
Yo, I really am sorry. I'm 25 now, and finally an adult, and I've come to realize just how terrible the things I did as a kid were. I'm sorry.
As Eugene repeatedly apologized, I softly told him, "It's okay, I got it now." If Eugene was truly remorseful, I thought I might forgive him. I no longer had any affection left for Eugene, but I was willing to accept his apology.
Thank you, Mom.
Eugene's face brightened instantly, and he beamed with a full smile.
Actually, I have another big piece of news.
Big news. I tilted my head, curious about what it could be.
I'm getting married.
Really? I was surprised. I hadn't imagined Eugene getting married. But then again, Eugene was already 25 years old. It wasn't strange for him to decide to marry at this age.
She's someone I met through work. Her name is Sarah. And she's really cute and a great person.
Eugene said with a happy smile. That's wonderful. Congratulations. As I congratulated him, Eugene's smile seemed to twist slightly. His smile twisted slightly, looking insincerely smug, which gave me a bad feeling. And indeed, my intuition was about to be proven right.
Mom, I have a favor to ask.
What is it? I felt uneasy inside but asked calmly.
Could you give me a wedding gift? Look, I just apologized for my past behavior, so we're even, right? You're my only parent, after all, so a little celebration money would be appropriate, right? I mean, even though we lived poorly, you must have some savings, right? Please.
As I listened to Eugene's words, I felt a chill in my heart. So this was his true intention. His earlier apologies were also just to wheedle money out of me. He wasn't truly remorseful. Eugene looked at me with expectant eyes, and I internally sighed deeply. I could have rightfully sent him away without a word, but I thought not giving anything for his wedding might be too harsh. So, as a final act of compassion, I decided to give him a checkbook with a few $1,000s in it. It's not much, but take this check. Eugene received the check from me, and overly delighted.
Yay, thanks, Mom. Well, I've got what I needed, so I'm heading out now. Oh, I'll get in touch about the wedding details.
With that, he quickly left the house. A few days later, Eugene called to inform me about the wedding date and location.
Make sure you're not late on the day. See ya.
Wait a minute. I got the time and place for the wedding, but isn't there going to be a meeting between the two families first? I haven't even met your fiancée, Sarah, yet. I asked because it's usual to have a meeting between families before the wedding, but Eugene started laughing.
Oh yeah, the meeting. Well, her parents are busy people, so it doesn't look like it's going to happen. We'll just meet on the wedding day, all right?
Though I felt uneasy about Eugene's attitude, I thought it must be unavoidable if they were busy, and I accepted it. Okay, I understand. What about Sarah then?
Sarah's also busy, you know, with all the wedding prep and stuff. What was it? Oh yeah, she's going to bridal beauty treatments and all, so it's fine to meet her on the wedding day too.
All right. If Sarah and her parents are okay with that, then I don't mind. And so, I ended up going to the wedding day without having met Eugene's fiancée or her parents. As I arrived at the wedding venue and was about to greet Eugene's fiancée's parents before the ceremony, I was called from behind.
Hey, Mom. Where are you going?
I turned around to find Eugene.
I was going to greet your fiancée's parents. You know, since we haven't had a family meeting yet, I haven't had the chance to greet them.
When I said this, Eugene coldly snapped back.
There's no need for that. Who said you could just go greet them on your own?
What? But it's just polite to greet them, I replied, confused, but Eugene smirked cruelly, much like he did in his student days.
My fiancée's parents aren't the type of people a poor person like you should be greeting. Her family is wealthy, from a completely different world than you.
Saying that, Eugene looked toward the entrance of the venue and waved to someone.
Hey, Dad. Over here, over here.
Following Eugene's gaze reflexively, I saw the last person in the world I wanted to encounter walking towards us.
Eugene, congratulations on your wedding.
The grinning man was my ex-husband, David. Why, I was speechless. I had no idea Eugene and David were connected. I was stunned. David looked at me and scoffed mockingly.
Long time no see, Tiffany. You're as plain and ugly as ever. Getting older and all these wrinkles and spots. You're totally an old hag now, aren't you? LOL. But hey, you look younger than I expected. I thought you'd look even more miserable.
It seems you haven't changed at all. I meant his character, but David, misunderstanding, laughed happily.
Right. I make an effort to stay young. Still a handsome guy, right? I'm still irresistible to women, you know.
Right. Exasperated, that was all I could manage to say.
Thanks for coming today, Dad.
Eugene smiled at David, and David returned a beaming smile to Eugene. They ignored me and chatted amiably. When their conversation paused, Eugene turned to me and declared,
From now on, he's my only parent. Actually, my fiancé's parents think my mother died of an illness.
"What are you talking about? Then why did you invite me today?" I asked, but Eugene burst into laughter.
Maybe to torment you. I wanted to make you suffer. Of course, you're not allowed to attend the ceremony. This is so funny.
David joined Eugene in laughter. Their mocking laughter was indeed very similar.
Now I can finally cut ties with the old hag I hate. Just disappear.
At Eugene's declaration of disownment, a smile inadvertently escaped me. I'd been waiting for those words.
Huh?
Eugene looked stunned. "Let's do as you say and cut ties then. I'm leaving now." With that, I turned and walked away. As I left the venue, I silently scoffed at Eugene, who knew nothing of what was truly going on. 3 months later, today being my day off from work, I had a leisurely morning brewing coffee. When the doorbell rang, I went to answer it and found Eugene standing there. There stood Eugene, wearing shabby clothes, with a scruffy beard and a vacant look in his eyes. He looked completely different from how he had appeared on his wedding day, and I was admittedly taken aback. Can a person really change their appearance this much in such a short time?
Mom, help me. Please, just let me come inside for now.
"I won't let you inside. We can talk here, so please keep it brief." With a feeble voice, Eugene pleaded for help, and I responded firmly. Eugene, still with vacant eyes, began to speak.
Actually, Dad suddenly told me he has a huge debt and asked if I could help out. I was shocked, but I asked Sarah for help. Since she's wealthy, I thought she'd happily pay off her husband's father's debts, but Sarah refused, and on top of that, she said she didn't think she knew me at all, and called off the engagement.
It appears that Eugene was begged by David to help with the debt repayment, and when he turned to his wealthy fiancée, she firmly refused and even broke off their engagement.
I had no idea Dad had any debts. I had never heard such a thing.
As Eugene told me this while crying, I quietly asked, "How long have you been meeting with your father?"
Since I started middle school, he approached me on my way home from school.
It seems that David had been ambushing middle school Eugene. Since I divorced David when Eugene was an infant, it was natural that Eugene wouldn't remember David's face. However, Eugene came to believe David was his father after being shown an old photo that David had kept. It seems the photo was a family snapshot taken shortly after Eugene was born, featuring the 3 of us. I was surprised that David still had such a photo, but he probably kept it thinking it might be useful someday. I can assert that he didn't keep that photo out of affection.
Then, Dad told me a lot of bad things about you, and I believed them.
What kind of bad things did he say? I could guess what they might be, but I asked anyway.
He told me things like, "You're poor because you're with your mom." Poor thing.
It seems Eugene had been fed lines by David such as, "You're poor because you're with your mom. You would have a better life if you lived with me. And I really wanted to take custody of you, but your mom forcibly took it away." This was why Eugene started to verbally and physically abuse me from around the time he started middle school.
Dad always said he was wealthy and wore expensive-looking suits, so I completely trusted everything he said. But now that I think about it, Maybe those suits were just rented.
That sounds about right. A man who didn't pay alimony or child support at the time of our divorce, who has no savings and evaporates after quitting his job, being wealthy. That's hard to believe. He probably approached you out of desperation because he's drowning in debt. Eugene hung his head at my words.
So, everything Dad said was a lie. He kept telling me to marry a wealthy woman, using me all along.
So, what brings you here exactly? This has nothing to do with me. As I asked with a sigh, Eugene burst out yelling.
Don't say that. Actually, Sarah was related to an important client at the company I worked for. Trying to marry her while hiding my real father's huge debt, and then getting dumped for asking her for money, has spread all over the company, and I'm about to be fired. Dad keeps asking me for money, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. Mom, please help me.
Even as Eugene pleaded with tears and snot running down his face, I felt no pity. There's nothing I can do for you. We're disowned, remember?
But I apologize. At the wedding, I was deceived by my father, so I said we should cut ties, but I didn't really mean it.
As Eugene desperately tried to make excuses, I looked at him coldly. It's not just about the wedding. I raised you alone since you were a baby. To ensure you didn't go hungry, I juggled full-time jobs and side jobs, and I also strived to keep up with housework and cooking. Yet, you only thanked me until you were in elementary school. After that, you repeated verbal abuse and violence.
That's because Dad filled my head with lies. I've already apologized for that, haven't I?
While he did apologize, it was only to extract a wedding gift from me, not out of genuine remorse. I let out a heavy sigh. You've never truly apologized to me. Besides, no amount of lies justifies the verbal abuse and violence you directed at me. Furthermore, I repeatedly tried to face him, but he did not answer me in the slightest. I have no love left for you. Even seeing you in this broken state doesn't stir any desire to help you. Please leave. As I firmly stated this, Eugene's face turned red with anger, and he shouted,
Don't joke with me. Aren't you my mother? A mother should help her child. You're inhuman.
I don't have a son. Please don't yell here. Just go home.
Damn you, old hag.
Enraged, Eugene raised his right arm to strike me. I immediately shrank back and prepared myself for the pain that was about to hit me. But nothing happened, no matter how long I waited. When I cautiously looked up at Eugene, he was groaning, ouch, and clutching his right shoulder. Maybe he injured his right shoulder. For a moment, I wondered why, but then quickly regained my senses and shut and locked the front door. Eugene was yelling from behind the door, Hey, we're not done talking yet. I'll call the police if you try anything else. Just go home. I responded, and hearing the word police seemed to have an effect, as he retorted with a parting shot, Damn you, and left. A month later, I received a call from Eugene. I did not answer, but an answering machine had been left for me, so I played it back and heard his unruly voice.
Mom, listen. Dad won't let me go. He keeps asking me for money, and if I refuse, he becomes violent. I can't say no. He's taking most of my paycheck.
The way Eugene showed signs of a shoulder injury when he appeared last month might have been due to David's violence. Even though I realized this, I certainly didn't feel any sympathy for Eugene. Violence was something he had inflicted on me endlessly. David is taller and more physically fit than Eugene, and having practiced judo in his youth, Eugene probably stands no chance against him. I could imagine that he was probably unable to fight back.
Dad seems to have a gambling addiction. Even though I give him money, he spends it before he can pay off any debts. The debt never decreases. He won't stop gambling either. I managed to keep my job, but I was demoted to a less important position, So even though my salary is low, Dad takes so much that I can't save anything. I might be reaching my breaking point.
Eugene was sobbing, and it was clear he was desperate.
Mom, please, lend me some money. Save me. I'm begging you. It's a lifetime request.
That's where the voicemail ended. After listening to the voicemail, I immediately blocked Eugene's number. There's no way I would lend him money, and I want nothing to do with him anymore. Months later, one of Eugene's co-workers came to see me, and I learned what is he up to. Eugene had secretly recorded David's verbal abuse and violence, and after submitting this evidence to the police, David was arrested for assault. He'll be spending some time in prison. However, Eugene's mental state deteriorated, and he eventually collapsed, leading to his admission into a psychiatric ward. About a week ago, I happened to see Eugene. As I was driving past his workplace, I saw a man in a disheveled suit, looking gaunt and emaciated. It took me a moment to realize it was indeed Eugene. From a distance, it was clear he was living a miserable life, but it turned out he had been admitted to a hospital. Still, I thought it was just desserts. I hope he uses his time in the hospital to reflect seriously on his actions. Though, knowing Eugene, real reflection might be too much to expect. In any case, it no longer concerns me. Eugene's coworker told me that he had asked him to come to me if anything happened. Eugene probably wants me to look after him and manage his finances while he's hospitalized, but I firmly refuse. I politely thanked Eugene's coworker and sent him on his way. Of course, I have no intention of visiting Eugene. Soon after, I moved and started a new life in a new town, ready for a fresh start. Having been freed from the long years of suffering under Eugene and David's torment, I began to engage in hobbies like gardening and joined an outdoor club. I'm living a more vibrant life than before and enjoying every day.